Rain on us. Come on, say that one. Rain on us. Rain on us. Rain on us. Rain on us. Lift your hands and rain on us. Rain on us. Come on, rain on us. Your deliverance is here right now. Hallelujah. One more time before we get away. Rain on
allowing me to have this moment just to share an inspiration. So they have trusted me in allowing me to speak to you. So I'm really appreciative and I really love them as my pastors. I appreciate the church family. All of you are here are so faithful and so encouraging. And it's such a blessing to be able to be in a fellowship where you have people who are encouraging and who have your back and saying, oh, you bless me and you go ahead, because they feel that God has something for each one of us and they are receiving what God has put in us. I appreciate my nephew being here and my son. And last but not least, I really appreciate my husband for being here. I didn't really tell him. I asked him if he was coming to church. And he said, yes, he was. And he thought I had to do a Sunday school lesson, but I didn't tell him that I had to do an inspiration. And I felt like, Lord, have who you would to be here. Because whoever the word is for, he would have them to be here. But I really appreciate my husband being here to hear this word. And it's going to be quick because we've had the word through Sunday school and it was so rich and such a blessing. And then we had it through the man of God and how he spoke. And I'm just going to hit some points. But I want you to write down Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. And Galatians 6-9. Let me try to get to Ecclesiastes. And if someone would get Galatians 6 through 9. When I was asked to do this, any other time I probably would have rolled over and said, no, I can't do that. Oh, Lord, why are they asking me? But this time, when Sister Carolyn called, well, she texted me and she asked me if I would be able to do an inspirational word. And I chuckled. And then I said, okay, I'll do it. Not knowing exactly what God wanted me to say. So I began, this was, I think it was Friday. So I began to really think about, okay, God, what is it that you want me to say to your people? And I couldn't think of anything, so I kept praying and said, God, apparently there is something that you want me to say. And he brought me back to where a few weeks ago, it seemed as if my body was being attacked. One moment I will be okay and I will be fine, and then pushing, trying to go to work, trying to come to service. And then that last week, I got sick. I guess I don't know exactly what it was. It was a virus or what, but it had me knocked down so hard that I couldn't go to work. I was out all week. I couldn't go to church. I tried to get up because I thought I had some energy and some strength, so I was going to get up and change the linen on my bed, take a shower, and then get back in bed and try to rest. And by the time I took the linen off my bed, I couldn't do anything else. I was so tired. And the only thing I could do is sit down and wish I could do something. And I was so tired, to be honest with you, and a lot of saints probably won't say this, but the only thing, I didn't feel like praying. I didn't feel like worshiping. I didn't feel like reading my Bible. I just wanted to lay down and sleep because I was so tired and I felt so bad. And I kept saying, Lord, help me. That was my prayer. I couldn't go with a long prayer, you know, gracious Father, I come to you in the mighty name of Jesus. And I was like, oh, Jesus, Lord, just help me. My husband was trying. He was helping me get dressed, helping me shower and everything. I couldn't even get dressed. That's how bad it was. And so as I was lying in the bed and I was asking God to help me, he said, what you have to remember is there's still a war going on.
Yes, it is.
Regardless of what I was able to do or what anyone else was helping me to do, what I wanted to think I wanted to do, whether I was doing it, because I'm such a busybody trying to get everything done all over here, whether I'm doing it or whether I'm just lying in the bed, it still does not stop the activity in the spirit realm. Whether we're sitting doing something or whether we're sitting doing nothing, it's still a war going on. And he had to tell me and remind me since the beginning of time, the devil has tried to lure us with lies, with false teaching, lure us into sin, turn us against each other, and not really believe that the promises of God that he gave us, he don't want us to believe that these things will come to pass. And so he brought me to Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 8. To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted.
Okay.
A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get, a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. And then we want to go to Galatians 6 and 9. Does anybody have that?
Okay. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not.
Okay. Let us not be weary in well-doing,
All right.
for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. And if I were to put a topic on this, I'm not a minister, I don't know all the things how they say, but they usually come with a theme or a topic. I would say it's about time.
That's good.
It's about time because God wants us to know what's going on.
Amen.
He wants us to know the signs of the times. If we read in the Bible how we would hear about men being lovers of themselves, mothers against daughters, and fathers against sons, and earthquakes in diverse places. I mean, we're living in a time where you will call it Bible time, where all of these prophecies are being fulfilled. And what we need to remember and understand is that this war that we're in, we need to remember that we already won.
Amen. Amen.
We already won. The enemy is already defeated.
All right. Good.
So we need to remember that when we're going through our tests, when we're going through our trials, we need to just kind of put that on the side and just know that we are already victorious.
Amen. Amen.
The outcome, we already know what the outcome is. But we still need to remember that we are in a battle. And the enemy is coming trying to make us feel like what God had promised us is not going to happen. What he's trying to do is make us not stand on the promises of God. But like our First Lady said, we have to trust God and believe God and stand on his word and believe it, whether we see it come to pass or not. Because if he gave us a promise, then we know, because he's not changing, he's not a God that he should lie, we know that it will come to pass. So we have to make sure that we stand sure-footed on the promises of God. Because it's about time. It's about time because we may be in this building and we may look at empty seats. And we may not see what we've been praying for, but we've been asking God and asking God to bring us more brothers and sisters into the fold. And we've been asking God for more souls to the kingdom. And people who have unsaved loved ones have been asking God and asking God, Lord, would you please save them? And people who are on drugs and in some type of addiction have been crying out to God and asking God for deliverance. And people who have been challenged on their jobs have been asking God for promotion after promotion after promotion, and it seems like it's not coming. And they've been asking for more money and more money and more money, and it's not coming, and people has been asking God for more peace in their marriage and more understanding in their homes and more understanding for their children, and they're wanting their children to go to school and to complete college and to complete education. Some children don't even want to go to high school because we still been praying and asking God for all of these things, but it seems as if it's not happening. But I have to tell you, it's about time. It's not that God is not going to do it. It's just that he's not going to do it on your time. But you have to realize that he's going to do it on his time. Because everything to every season, there's a season. There's a season for gestation when you're in your mother's womb. Then you're born. There's a season of infancy. Then there's a season of childhood. Then there's a season of youth, young adult. Now in the season of young adult, you wouldn't get married in your childhood stage because you're not ready for your childhood stage. Even though you may have a crush on Jimmy and Johnny and Sarah and Sue, but God is not going to allow you to get married or have an intimate relationship in your childhood stage because you're not ready. You out of season. So he have to allow you, even though you think you like Johnny and Sue, and now you in your youth stage, and now you in your young adult stage, but you still not ready because the season is not ready for you to walk into that period of time in your life. It's not that God is not saying you can't have these things that you want. It's not that he's even saying that you can't have Johnny or Sue. It's just not the right season.
Go ahead with that.
Because it's about time.
That's all right.
So now you're looking at all these wedding dresses and you're looking at all these rings and you thinking that Johnny is the one for you. Now you're in your young adult season, but either one of you are saved. So now he's saying, okay, I have to get you ready and I have to get you ready. So it's not the right season.
You own it, man. You own it right there.
You're not ready. So when we begin to ask God for these things, we must understand that it's his timing and it's his season. Because he wants us to know that it's about time.
All right. That's all right.
The time is when he feels that it's ready. So then what's going to happen when all of these things come together, where you have everything that's designed for you to be ready in that right place at that right time, is going to be your season.
Right.
And when your season comes, then it's going to be a time.
Yeah.
The season is right. You're grown.
Okay.
You're established. You're set. You're ready for marriage.
Yes.
He groomed both of you for marriage, for matrimony. Now he can let you have that time. That's when he give you that date. May 1st, 2017. Johnny and Jamie gonna be married. Because he's allowed you to have that season. And he's allowed you to have that time. And so it's a set time. And so we need to understand that the enemy is trying to have us to think that God is not hearing us. That God is giving all these other churches members, because we passing by and we seeing everything that's happening. But they've already had their season. God is trying to call us into some things where the season is happening. It's just like when you plant. When you put something in the ground, you have to wait for things to happen under the grass, under the dirt. We have to wait for stuff to happen under the grass and under the dirt. Because we all dust. He know our frame. That's in Sunday school. He put something in us, but because of our dust, because of our dirt, we have to give it time. We have to move ourselves out of the way. Get the dust and the dirt out of the way. We have to let some things mature in us. We have to let that seed grow in us. So the things that God is giving to us, the seeds that he's planting in us, we have to give it time to grow so it can show forth its fruit in its season.
Amen.
It's about time. Don't be discouraged. Remember what God is saying. We need to put on the whole armor while we're waiting, while we have this seed in the ground, while we're waiting on our season to come for seed time and harvest.
Amen.
We need to be praying. Continue to pray.
Amen.
Continue to stay in the Word. Continue to seek his face. Continue to trust him and continue to believe him. Continue to allow God to train us, to prepare us, to mature us to that place, because it's about time. It's coming.
Yes.
Let us not be weary in well doing.